Welcome back. Today I'm going to try to solve puzzles on chess.com, even though the last few times I've had trouble, but I've given it a few days. Hopefully they've gotten this glitch worked out. If you're new here, I'm not a titled player. I'm not a chess coach. I'm just a random person trying to get better at chess. And one way that I do that is by attempting to solve chess puzzles. I will do that now by clicking puzzles. The last couple of times what the bug was is if I got the first puzzle correct, it didn't count the points for it. It would show up here that it counted the points, but then when I went to the next puzzle and got those, it didn't get any more points. And then when I went to my archive, the first puzzle wasn't counted at all. So I don't know if that's still going to happen here. I'm going to try to ignore that fact and just remember that what I'm trying to do is to get better at chess. Okay, now here I have a situation in which they've blocked the check by putting their queen in the way. If I take their queen, they're just going to take me back, right, with their bishop. But because their queen is in front of their king and I have another light square diagonal open here, I'm wondering about putting my light squared bishop in between them. If they took it, I would just take and they would still be in check and I would be up a queen for a bishop. What else could they do if I played bishop to b5? It wouldn't be a check, but it would be skewering the king to the queen through here. Or the queen to the king, I should say. Okay, let's say I play that. What do they play? Can they check me in that instance? They can. They could check me with their dark squared bishop, which I could just take for free. And my queen would not only then be out of that diagonal, but it would still be protecting my bishop on b5. And then could they check me again? I don't think they could. So that's what I'm going to play. Bishop to b5. Should I look for anything else? The only check that I have is this, I think. If there was an i5 out here, I could check, or an i4, but there's not. It only goes to h. I guess before I play that, I should look for captures. I don't see any. I can develop pieces, but my queen's undefended. It's just going to get taken. And if I try to defend it by, I don't know, say putting my knight here, they could still just take my queen. And they're slightly ahead on development than I am. Once I took that, they would be able to then check me. I would have to block with the knight. I don't know. So let's try this. Oh, that was it. I didn't hear any sound. I don't know if you did or not. I think I had my end muted for some reason. Okay. It looks like, okay, they're threatening my undefended bishop with their rook. However, let's see. If I capture their queen, that's a check. They have to respond to that. They can't take my bishop at that point. And I would also be threatening their rook just then. So I think they would take back with their bishop on d7. And then their bishop would be pointed at my queen. And I can bring my queen right back to its home square where it would protect that bishop. Is there anything else? I don't think there's anything better than taking the queen at this point. Okay, that was it. They did do what I thought. So I have options here. But if I don't come back and protect this bishop, not only is my queen's in danger where it is, if I move my queen anywhere that's not protecting that bishop, like just here or something, then they take my bishop. And when I move out of check, they're going to take my rook too. So I think it has to be queen to d1 for those reasons. Okay, it was. And it says it counted 5 points. As I did in my last couple of videos, I am going to check my archive really quickly just so I'll know. Okay, this is my puzzle stats page. As you can see, my score is still 20-20. They did not count my points once again, and I'm just going to guess that it's not listed in my archive. It is not. Okay. As has happened the last several times, for some reason, there's a bug that the first puzzle is not counted, but we kind of expected it this time, so we're going to go on, and I'll check after the second one to make sure that that one was counted. And if I miss any, I know it'll be counted because it always has been. So bear with me as I deal with that bug on this website. It's a persistent bug. It has been reported. I found a help forum thread about that bug. A moderator responded and said, I've notified staff, but that was like 2 weeks ago and it's still happening. So looks like they're spending their development money on, I don't know, Title Tuesdays or PogChamps or something like that instead of fixing these bugs. Okay, in this puzzle, I do have some checks. There's this check. I think that's my only check, isn't it? Okay. And that's not a good check. I would just lose my queen. And they have a passed pawn with a battery behind it heading down. But I have something I can do. One thing I can do is I can pin their queen to their king and skewer their king through it, I guess, is what you would call that. And my queen's protecting my rook. The problem that I'm having is if I play here, they could just take it. And when I took back, they still have this passed pawn. It's about to turn into a queen. Okay, but I guess I would be threatening their rook at that point, so they would have to do something. What else could they do if I played here? I guess they could just push the pawn at that point. And then if I took their queen and they took back with their rook, they would have a pawn 1 square from promotion and a rook behind it. And then I guess at that point I could get in front of the pawn with my queen. Is there anything else? Because the check didn't look good. The capture doesn't look good, I don't think. They would just take it, and I would be down a queen at that point. I would have a check, but then they could just block, and their queen would be here protecting their rook. So I think it has to be rook to d3, skewering this. And I expect one of two responses at that point. I either expect them to take with their queen or advance their pawn, and then I'll see what the best move is from there. They did the second thing I thought they would do, which is advance the pawn. Now I can check, because earlier I was just saying I would take the queen, right? If I take the queen, they do this, and then I have to do something about this pawn. I think just get in front of it. But should I do something else is what I'm wondering now. Should I check first? But then I can't get in front of the pawn, because queens don't curve around like that. I check first, they just move out of check, and then I have to take their queen, and they take back, and then I can't get in front of the pawn, or take it because their rook's guarding it. So I think I have to take the queen. Okay, and now the question again is, do I check, or do I get in front of the pawn? If I check, they have numerous ways to get out of check. They can move to any of those squares or over here. I mean, they could also block, but that's not good. And then I can't win the pawn because the rook is behind it. So I have to get in front of that pawn, I think. Of any other options, let's check. They come over here. I wouldn't have a good follow-up. Wait, I would have this, and then that would force them down one, and then I still wouldn't have a good follow-up. I think I have to get in front of the pawn. Oh, I'd hate to lose it after all that, but okay, that was right. And as I said before, I will check my archive really quickly just to make sure this was in there. I don't know what I clicked on, but it started I thought I clicked on my stats, but instead it took me to a new puzzle, and I didn't get points for either one of them, it looks like. Oh my goodness. Okay, I'm not sure what happened. Here on my puzzle stats page, it is counting the second one, and it shows I did one puzzle today. Okay, I don't have the link to the first one because it's not in the archive. This is where I get the links from, so. All right, well, that's even more frustrating than before, that it first showed a puzzle and looked like it didn't even count the second one, but then it did count it. Okay. Okay, now it's showing that it did count it. Wow. Okay, this bishop has just moved out of danger from the pawn. What else do I have here? What do I have? I have a check, because that's the first thing I look for is checks. I have this check as well. I don't think the rook check is good because they would just take it. But what do they play if I check with the bishop on d5? They can't come up because of my rook cutting off those squares. So they would have a choice of left or right. If they went into the corner, I would check here with my bishop on f6, and I think that would be checkmate. Okay, so if I checked here and they came over to f8, then I could check on h6. They'd have to move over again, and then I could check here, protected by the rook, with the bishop on f7. The king would have to move over again, and I could bring this dark squared bishop back to g5, and their only legal move at that point would be to block with their bishop, which I would take, and that would be protected by the rook, and that would be mate. I think in each one of those cases, they only have one legal move, except the first one where they have two moves. But that one, if they go the other way, then that's mate immediately. And I think all the others have one legal move. So I'm gonna play bishop to d5 check. They did go that way. I'm going to check here. I think. I shouldn't evaluate that one because they have two pieces defending that square. Okay. And the rook protects this check. They have one legal move. I come back. They have to block with the bishop, and that's mate. Oh, and I got it fast enough to get the 10 points. Someone commented on one of my previous puzzle solving videos recently that there's a speed bonus if you solve it faster. And I replied that something to the effect that, yes, it's been that way as long as I can remember. I hope my response didn't seem snappy or mean, but I've done dozens of puzzle solving videos, and I mention almost every time that if you get them faster, you get more points on chess.com. On Lichess, it doesn't seem to be the case. The time that you take doesn't seem to matter, but that could just be because I always take a long time over on Lichess. The theme was bishop pair. I guess both of us had the bishop pair, but I thought that I'm going to suggest the theme is mate in 3. You couldn't see the drop-down menu, but you can see that I added the theme. Let's go on to the next one. I think my only check here is queen captures d4, but that's bad. I'm positive that wouldn't accomplish anything. I mean, not that it would force the pawn to recapture because the king could just move, but I think they would recapture with the pawn. I could take back with my knight, which would threaten their queen, but it would just move somewhere. I think where it could just move over here, guess. And I would have lost my queen for a pawn. Well, for 2 pawns. And I guess I could keep chasing their queen at that point. But then it could just move over again, or maybe it would go there in the first place. Yeah, so that's not it. So I don't think it's a check. My captures include the one I just mentioned, plus this one, which again, I think the queen would just take. One thing that looks interesting about that, and I should consider it before I move on to other captures or threats, is that their queen would be sitting there on c3, unprotected. And then I could take this pawn on d5 or d4 with my knight. And I don't know what they would do next, but I would be threatening this check here on f3, which would leave my queen open, pointed at their queen, where it's unprotected. That requires a couple of things. First, that requires them taking here, which they don't have to do. They could just let me take the pawn and then get their rook out of danger by moving it over or something. And if they did that, then I could take this pawn and it would be check. And then I don't know what would be next. So it does require them taking first. But let's assume that they did. Otherwise, I just pick up 2 pawns. It looks like we're about even on material now, so that would give me a little bit of an advantage, I think. Although it would put their rook right here, which may not be good for me. But let's say that they took, and then I took here with my knight. What would they do? Would they see that I'm about to try to capture over here on f3 and move their king out of the way? Okay, so what if that's what happened? What if they then just moved their king out of the way so that this isn't a discovery at that point, and they could just take my queen, which is also undefended, and they would still have a queen on the board, and I would have lost a bishop for a pawn, right? So if I take there, they take, and I take, and they move their queen, then what do I do? Yeah, I can't find a good answer for that if they move their queen at that point. I mean, if they move their king as their second move, because then my knight is pinned to my queen. I guess I would have to move to defend it before I moved the knight anywhere, and then they, of course, would have a turn at that point. I don't know if they would play here trying to attack my knight, but I don't see anything else. That's one of my problems here. I don't see anything else. What else could I do? I could take this pawn and help open their king up a little bit, but then I can't get in there and check. And if I tried to move this pawn forward, they would then have 2 pawns defending that spot. I could move that pawn forward first, and which one would they take with? This one? And then I would take with my pawn and be threatening this one. And if they took, I could take with my bishop. But then we've just traded a couple of pawns. Well, this is going to be one of those that either takes way too long and I still fail it, or I fail it now. So I'm going to fail it now, probably, because I have no idea. I don't see any tricks or tactics. I'm going to take this with the bishop and see if something comes of it. That'll probably be wrong. At this undefended pawn, it's defended by my queen, but that's not enough. So I don't think that's it. Okay, let's try this. Yeah, that wasn't it. Okay, I'm going to click the hint button. It was the knight taking that pawn. I mentioned that early on, but I didn't see any advantage to it at all, other than I could then check. I can check now, but what good does that do? It made the king move over like I said it would. Oh, and the rook's undefended. Oh, and then they attacked my queen and my bishop. So the only way to protect both of them is to come back here to c3 and trade queens. Or trade the knight for the bishop, and I'm up the rook for the knight. I'm up the rook and a couple of pawns for the knight, for my knight, right? I think so. Theme was battery. I don't think that was the theme. Fork double attack? I guess that was technically a fork of the king and the rook, but okay. I missed the fact that after they took, not only would I be hitting the king, but that I would be hitting the rook undefended. Okay, that was me. Well, I think I have to take it, don't I? I think I have to take that queen. If I don't, they're going to check me and probably win. I assume they've just taken my queen or something here, and they're assuming that they can get their pawn passed before I can, which maybe that's true. If I take this queen now, they're going to jump this pawn forward. Let's assume that. And if I then advance my pawn and they advance their pawn and so on as they go down, they're going to promote before I do right here, and then I'm going to promote, and we'll both have queens. Okay, so let's say I take this and they jump forward. Can I then catch their pawn? If I go toward it and they move forward, I go here, they go here, and I go there. Yeah, then I can catch it here. Okay, so I think that's what I have to do then. But I don't know if because I'll be here. Did I do that right? I'll have to come this way. I can't move there because the pawn will be guarding that square at that point. Okay, but then will they be able to catch my pawn? I don't know. Because they're further off. They're further from the center than I am. I think that might be one difference here. Our pawns are each on a knight's file. You know, the G file and the B file are where the knights started out. But my king is two ranks or 2 files closer to the center than theirs. So that's why I'm going to be able to catch theirs. And they may not be able to catch mine. Well, we're about to find out. Oh, they brought their king. Well, then I should advance my pawn. And then my pawn will promote before theirs. They're trying to get in front of my pawn. Can they? Yes, they can. Okay, well now do I need to bring my king or my pawn? If I bring my pawn and they come, I don't know, that they could come either one of those, I suppose. I don't know which one's better for them. And then if I bring my king and they come here, I can still get in front of my pawn. So I think I have one more move. Even if they come here, then I can move my king. They go there. I get in front of my pawn. They can jump their pawn at that point, but I can move my king over. They jump their pawn. I move forward. They move their pawn. I move forward. They move their pawn, and I promote first, but then they promote, and I'm in check. So maybe I should move my king first to avoid all of that. Because then, if they continue to bring their king at that point, I can stop them, and then they jump their pawn, and I bring mine, and they bring theirs, and I bring mine, and so on. And I still am going to promote first, but this time I won't be in check when they promote. They won't promote because they'll be in check. Okay, so I should bring my king first, is what I guess from all of that. I'm going to move my king. And that was wrong. Okay. And then it was the pawn. Those are the only 2 pieces I have. I'm going to go to the analysis board. Okay. We know that after this first move, yeah, there's nothing else made sense other than taking this. Okay, what was their best move? It was king to g3 or king to g1. Either way, they're supposed to try to get their king over here. Okay, well, that's what they did in the puzzle. And then I'm supposed to advance my pawn. Okay, well, I think we figured that out. But then they played king to f2, which is their best move. That's not even among my top 3, interestingly enough. Because I said if I would go here, and they would come, which is what they did. Oh no, they didn't go there though. That's not what happened in the puzzle. Oh, they came here. Okay, it doesn't matter. Even though Stockfish is saying all 3 of those are the same, it doesn't matter. Okay, and then I had to bring my king. And here, g4 was not among their best moves. See, this is what I thought they were going to play, was king to d1. And if they had played that, which is their best move, then I would have wanted my king to have been in one of these squares already to keep their king from getting there. That's why I moved my king first. I thought we counted that out because now it says I will go here and then they'll advance their pawn g3. Really, not g4. I don't know why g4 would be so much worse, but it is. And then I would go here. But see, I don't like that because now they're going to go here, right? Now it doesn't matter. Doesn't it? Yeah, that's kind of, I think that's what I calculated, is that I would get there first. I messed up somehow in the counting. Okay, well, that was disappointing because I lost a bunch of points for it, but okay, I don't know what to think about that. I counted it out, it made sense, and then, but that was wrong. The other way was correct, and there's a reason for that. I don't know why. Even though I went to the analysis board, I'm not sure why what I counted over here didn't worked here, but then it didn't work on the analysis board. Okay, next. Okay, I do have a check. King has the choice to move over, and then I would be able to check here, and it would have to move over again, and then I would check here, and that would be mate. No, it wouldn't be mate, but it would win the queen, maybe. Well, I've already lost so many points, it doesn't matter. I'm just going to go and then check here. Oh, and it stopped there. Okay. How nice. How nice for me that it just stopped before proving whether or not my idea was right. Okay, let's go to the analysis board. Was I right about that or was I wrong? Okay, yeah, they did that, which was a mistake. It says it's mate in 3. Okay, I did this, and they moved over because they only had one legal move. And then I played here, and they have to go there. Oh, see, I would have messed up because that's mate. The puzzle would have kept going. If the puzzle would have kept going, I was going to play that bishop there, I think. Yeah, I would have failed the puzzle if it had kept going. But it didn't, even though there was only one legal move for the opponent and one best move for me. Interesting. All right. Not sure why they chose to end it there, but I'm glad I got 9 points for it. All right, I'm not sure what to do in this puzzle. The only check that I have is capturing the f7 pawn. They could take back with either the king or the knight. I don't know which one they would take back with. I have no idea. And then we would be stuck. So I don't think that's it. I could also start capturing here with my rooks, but they have multiple pieces on that. Although, if I went here and they took with their rook, then I could put my queen here, threatening mate. What could they do to stop that? Could they do anything to stop that? Well, they could take with their queen, but then I would take their queen, and they could take with their rook, and then I could still go here, be threatening mate, and they can't stop that, can they? Oh, yeah, they could put their knight back there, but then I could take the rook, and I would have a queen and a bishop for a knight and against a knight and a rook. I think that works. Let's try it. That wasn't it. Okay, it was something else. It was taking the knight because they're going to take. Oh, that was it? Well, I'm not going to make any further comments about the website. I've gone past 30 minutes on my end. I'm a little disappointed in my own performance, so I didn't get better at chess today. But that's on me, as it always is. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you next time.